Everyone, this is Charles Harper, and this is something I've been wanting to do for a little while, and that is to get back to talk a little bit about some of the research that we've been doing on leadership. And in particular, I've been talking about over the months about necessity entrepreneurs, which is the focus of my research. I'm so far behind, it's not even funny right now. But in terms of necessity entrepreneurship, you will find that if you were to go to, let's say, Google Scholar, or even if you were to go to ChatGPT, they would define a necessity entrepreneur as somebody who goes into entrepreneurship not necessarily because there's this great opportunity and they see a hole in the marketplace, but typically because they're looking for some kind of opportunity that they can't get anyplace else. Maybe they're trying to generate an income. Maybe they don't they're not they're not working full time, and so they want to increase their income, and so they're really doing it more out of necessity. And really, the first time that the phrase was coined by academics in particular, it was a negative term. And so they looked at entrepreneurship, traditional entrepreneurship, as opportunity entrepreneurship. And so they said there's this other kind of entrepreneurship, though, that doesn't work as well, and it's called necessity entrepreneurship. And actually, as the years have progressed and as things have progressed, necessity entrepreneurs, in particular those of us who are internet marketers, probably fall into that category in terms of you know uh, uh, the traits of the people who academics would define as necessity entrepreneurs. So that's really where the focus of my research is in terms of leadership and trying to determine, what traits do you need to have, if you're going to lead a community of necessity entrepreneurs. That's really the focus of my dissertation once I really start to nail it down. And so, 80% of your customers are going to fall into that category. So if you're coaching 20% of the people, they're going to get it right away. They might even surpass you, but they're sort of there for what you deliver. But 80% of the people are going to be there because they find that you've got something that will help them to get to a next level, even if they don't necessarily know what that is. And they're doing that because they're trying to bolster their income, or they're trying to get to a certain number goal, or they're trying to start a business. Not necessarily because they see this great opportunity, but typically because there's a lifestyle need that they fall into. And so um, you want to be able to kind of service those people, right? And so they have a unique set of things that, in terms of the way they look at business, and what you'll see is that if you listen to Dan Kennedy, and I love Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson and all those guys. I mean, I listen to Dan Kennedy most every day. This is the kind of person that really they would tell you not to focus on, right? I think, and I don't think Russell Brunson means it as a pejorative, and I'm not talking about the great Russell Brunson in any way when I say this, but you've probably heard him say, don't sell to broke people, right? But necessity entrepreneurs tend to fall into the category of people whose resources are limited, and so if you decide not to work with those people, then you're missing a good part of the market. But now there is some wisdom in what Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson are saying, is because typically people who fall into the category, they probably need a little more and aren't necessarily going to compensate you as well. However, there are strategies that you can use. And that's really what I want to be talking about, as I learn more about necessity entrepreneurship in terms of the research that has been done, and share that with you. And so you can incorporate those strategies into how you run your membership. You can incorporate those strategies into how you're leading your community. And I find the term engagement to mean it's more of a marketing term, right? Because you're engaging for the purpose of keeping people hooked, so they will continue to pay you monthly, right? Or they will continue to pay you, which is it's a good incentive, right? It's a good incentive to keep people engaged. That's not necessarily what we're talking about in terms of leadership. And so what we're really talking about in terms of leadership is really getting down underneath what their needs are and really pushing them to get to where they are trying to go. And so the skills that are needed are primary leadership skills in order to work with necessity entrepreneurs. They're not going to be engagement. So all the things you've seen in engagement, they will work for motivated people. They're going to work for 20% of the people who if you give them marching orders, they're going to charge through it, or maybe maybe they're sort of tired of the life that they're in, and they're going to do everything you say. Right? That's going to be 20% of the people. 80% of the people are going to need a little more, and it's going to be a little more than what we traditionally call engagement. And so even the term I use, leadership, easily, right? Most people define leadership and they'll look at somebody like Tom Brady or a president or vice or whoever, right? Um, they will say that that's leadership, and that's broadly defined. Leadership is more than that, and obviously, I think so because I mean I've been spending the last 4 years kind of diving deep into it. There are easily 20 tools, right, or 20 different ways to look at leadership that you can use. So if you just look at leadership broadly defined, yes, right, you sort of charge that hill, and you sort of give them a vision and you kind of lead them. But there's more to it than that, right? And there are different ways to lead different kinds of different groups of people. And we've talked about some of those ways already in some of our products. So if you've got our servant leadership PLR, we talked about it there. So you should be teaching your customers about servant leadership. We talked about it in authentic leadership. That was probably a little easy, harder to define, but authentic leadership is a different kind of leadership than servant leadership. And the rules are different. The way you act are different. The way that you go about leading people is different than just putting the needs of your customers or the people that you're leading first, right? Servant leadership is you're elevating their needs, and you're basically placing their needs over and above some of the other functions of what it is you're doing in your brand and your business. And I don't have time to get into it. I'm just gonna blow through this. And just for an example, because I'm gonna be talking about this in our transformational leadership product. But transformational leadership emphasizes four principles: idealized influence. So can you be the ideal? Right? Can you influence people by being the ideal and embodying the principle that you want them to be? Intellectual stimulation. Can you reach them at the mind level? Individualized concern. Can you give them a sense that you are concerned that they succeed? And inspirational motivation. Can you give them a vision larger than themselves? And so, see, I ran past that. But the goal in being consistent about these things is to help your customer transform. So transformational leadership has a particular goal. Is to help so it's not leading an organization. It's to help a person transform, to change. And so not everybody's niche is that. Not every membership needs to do that. And it's just one aspect of membership. Remember, I said that there are lots of ways you can lead people. And here's the key to this, and what I want to kind of press upon you, and why we're going to be talking about this is all of those things in terms of transformational leadership, that doesn't necessarily always fit necessity entrepreneurs, which is going to be 80% of your customers if you are a business coach. And so I'll be sharing with you the research in terms of number one, necessity entrepreneurship. Number two, communities of practice, right? How do you lead them in the community? Number three, how do you lead them? Right? What tools do you use to lead them? Do you use transformational leadership, servant leadership, authentic leadership? There are all these ways in which you can lead a community and be effective. And again, we're saying that 80% is also worth working with, right? Most of us, right, we like the 20% because, they're sort of your customers, and they will become your customers, and they pay you, and they do what you say, and they're kind of off to the races. There's 80% that get left, right? And there are tools you can use in order to reach and help the 80%. And that's what I will be sharing with you as I share with you the research in necessity entrepreneurship. I do want to say on Sunday, and that's a little different. We're releasing our System.io Volume 7 membership PLR. And so if you're watching this right now, you can look at the plrshow.com/PLR course preview. You can check that out. And we will be releasing that Sunday morning at 9 a.m. And if you have all other 6 volumes, this is just another volume. And this is going to be really cool because it's going to show all different aspects of putting together a membership. It's going to show your customer how to do that kind of from start to finish. And I don't get a chance to talk a lot about our partners and our colleagues, and I know I know they're a little, they're probably a little put out with me, but and that's not by design. It's really just because I've been really busy, and I just don't have a lot of time to talk about it in our newsletter every day, which hopefully you're getting and you're reading every day. But let's talk about our partner PLR on what I'm recommending today. Our friend Francis has something called Kidpreneur, and it's kind of a cool thing. I will put something together for this, and I really kind of need to think about what I want to say about it, and because my daughter Sydney and my daughter Lana have worked with me, and Laura works with me too. But in particular, Sydney, I think really developed her ability to be a customer service person, right? Even as a music teacher, with the work she did with us, right? And our support system, which she designed back in 2016, 2017, is still the one that I use today. I haven't even hired anybody. That's how good she was. And so I do want to talk about that. I need to kind of figure out what our bonuses are going to be, but I'll put something together for Kidpreneur. But you can go get Francis Kidpreneur. I think it's kind of a cool topic. Depending on when you see this, our friend Sajan is doing something on DeepSeek, and as you know, if you read my newsletter, I prefer somebody else do that. Uh, what I'm gonna do in terms of my bonus, I'm gonna talk about safety. I'm gonna turn about privacy, and you do want to make sure that you have our bonus if you're going to be using this to teach your customer, right? And I would not just send people go charging into DeepSeek, and I would not send people into that void. I would make sure that they are well versed, and I think I got a good handle on how you can teach them effectively. And I'm going to put that together in a bonus, and will probably happen after we launch um, system, right? So that'll be after that, and then there's kind of an unusual PLR. My friend Sorin, again, I've been crazy busy. Talk to me about something, and it's kind of an interesting thing. It is PLR, and does have resale rights. Basically, what he's done is put together some GPTs, and we've talked about that and how you would do that way in the past. They put some of these things together. You can resell them, and so it's a way to do AI without necessarily um, doing the same old thing. So I've not really had a chance to really look at this in particular. But I do like the concept. And again, I mean, if you're just trying to put together an offer, you've got different points. You can kind of add one offer at a time, right? One component at a time. You put this in the offer, right? You put some of these in an offer. It could be the difference between making a sale and not. Okay, so that's really it. And the reason this is so long today is because I haven't done this as much as I'd like to. I do want to be talking to you more about necessity entrepreneurship as I learn more, as I get into the research. And I think that the research is absolutely fascinating, and I think it's going to really help you because, again, I think 80% of your customers as a business coach right now in this moment, that's who your customer is going to be. It's not going to be the 20%, right? That does everything you say, and they're going to be motivated and take in charge and take that hill. It's going to be the 80%. And in spite of what the I'd say the larger marketers would say, I think you can still help these people. So don't give up on the people that most coaches say don't work with. The 80% can be worked with, and that is what we will be showing you with our research on necessity entrepreneurship. Okay, everybody. So thanks very much. Have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.